SpaceX, Starbase, Cape Canaveral. You've got questions, we've got the answers. Thanks for tuning in to episode 89 of LabPadre SpaceX and Starbase Weekly Updates. What an exciting week we've had down here. So let's dig in. Almost immediately after stacking the ship press trailer and hot stage ring lifting jig were relocated to the launch site after a problem was identified with Booster 9. Not much later, the ship stand and hot stage ring stand were brought over to the launch mount ahead of destacking the rocket. SpaceX's LR-11000, which had lowered its boom ahead of the expected launch, was raised and rolled out to the orbital launch mount on Saturday. Since the hot staging ring lacks chopstick-compatible lifting points, the crane is needed to remove this part from the rocket. Ship 25 was destacked from Booster 9 that afternoon. After securing the ship to the chopsticks, it was lowered onto the waiting ship stand, giving crews access to the hot stage ring for removal. Shortly before midnight and after hours of preparation with the LR-11000 and the lifting jig, the hot stage ring was removed from Booster 9 and placed on its support stand. A Tesla Cybertruck made an appearance once again at the launch site on a stormy Sunday, passing down Highway 4 before leaving for parts unknown. Dismantling of the air separation plant reached the primary air separation column this week, and workers brought out plasma cutters to cut the column down to size for road transport. A crane was brought in to stabilize the pieces, and workers got right back to cutting the steel tower in half. Over at the Sanchez site, the first of the new black stands appears to be nearing the final stages of its construction. While their exact purpose is still not known at this time, it appears that SpaceX is about to begin building a third of this type, which would seem to be indicating that they are either some type of production stand similar to the engine installation stands, or a next-generation booster transport stand. Launch Site Gate D1, which gives access to the test stand tank farm as well as the new parking lot, is being built with a reinforced concrete gate, including a cast-in-place beam over the entrance. Once the second integrated flight test was scheduled, crews began taking down the scaffolding and formwork, as the launch exhaust would probably knock the forms over. The final pieces of cladding on the Highway 4 facing side of Star Factory's current expansion were installed on Tuesday. While crews worked on the systems on top of the booster, the hot staging ring was waiting nearby. We know now that the ring weighs about 20,000 pounds and could potentially be a single-use item that will be ejected in flight. The length of the nose cone assembly hall was increased this week, and a pre-assembled roofing section was added to cap off the newest section of the structure. The hall is expected to run the full length of the building, which is around the site of the former mid-bay. Over at the build site, the final segments of Mega Bay 2's elevators were put in place. The prefabricated elevator columns run the full height of the structure and give access to the upper-level office spaces. A few days after beginning work on top of the booster, crews were ready to reassemble the launch stack, beginning with the hot stage ring. With the hot staging ring back in place, Ship 25 was ready for stacking. In a well-practiced procedure, the vehicle was lifted and placed onto the booster, completing the vehicle stack for flight. Finally, the ship quick disconnect was attached to Ship 25, completing the integration of the tower and vehicle stack for its upcoming launch. After completing the restacking of the launch vehicle the day before, the ring lifting jig was once again moved to the launch site, tipping off tank watchers that there was something wrong with the booster. The ship transport stand soon arrived at the launch site as well. Elon soon tweeted that the booster's grid fin actuators were at fault and needed to be replaced ahead of flight. Their replacement would delay the launch from Friday to Saturday. Once the hot staging ring was removed and the lifting jig was taken off the crane, workers on top of Booster 9 began to remove the faulty grid fin actuators from the vehicle. While just one faulty grid fin actuator was blamed for the delay, no chances were being taken with the health of the motors. Ultimately, 3 of the 4 grid fin actuators were removed and replaced. With the part swap complete and the new motors integrated with the booster's power and avionics, the actuators were tested and given a clean bill of health. A second grid fin wiggle test followed shortly after midnight. With 2 successful tests, crews were given the okay to reassemble the vehicle stack. Working under floodlights, the LR-11000 picked up the hot stage ring and reinstalled the hardware on Booster 9. Expediting their efforts to clear the site ahead of flight, the hot staging ring stand was removed from the launch complex about an hour later. A number of glass panes for Mega Bay 2 were delivered to the build site in the morning and are expected to clad the upper level floor of the building. A surprising and unexpected truck rolled through Starbase with parts for another orbital launch integration tower in the morning. Per the Fish and Wildlife Service's written evaluation, the new tower is planned for a future expansion of the orbital launch site. Back at the launch site, and with 22 hours left in the launch countdown, Starship 25 was stacked for the 8th and final time. At T-minus 20 hours and 32 minutes, the ship quick disconnect was attached to Ship 25, completing the launch vehicle integration with the launch pad infrastructure. As launch photographers and spaceflight reporters were setting up at the press site, the ship's stand was brought out of the launch complex. At T-minus 14 hours and 7 minutes, the detonation suppression system was tested. The DSS helps prevent buildup in flammable gases under the rocket. The flaps passed their pre-flight checks as the countdown continued. With 13 hours and 34 minutes left in the count, Booster 9's grid fins were given their third and final pre-flight checkout, assuring that the actuators were not damaged during stacking. 7 months later, after integrated test flight 1, Starship 25 and Booster 9 reached their final seconds of the terminal count. The water deluge system activated seconds before ignition, and at T-minus 3 seconds, 33 Raptor engines roared to life. Special thanks to Trevor Mahlmann for his awesome footage that morning. With a spectacular liftoff at 7:02 and 53 seconds a.m. Central Time, the second integrated flight test was lifted off under the full thrust of all 33 engines. The booster performed flawlessly during its ascent. At T plus 2 minutes and 40 seconds, 30 engines successfully shut down on the booster, and the 6 engines on Starship 25 ignited, completing a successful hot stage separation. The booster immediately performed a flip maneuver, relighting the 10 center engines to boost back towards the launch site. Something went wrong though during that burn, and the booster's engines began to fail in rapid succession. After the final engine went out, the flight termination system appeared to fire, and the booster exploded in a great cloud of gas and debris. Starship 25 was several kilometers downrange and escaped the destruction of the booster unharmed. The ship successfully continued its flight for several minutes until at T+7 minutes and 47 seconds, something appeared to go wrong with the ship. The liquid oxygen tank levels dropped rapidly, and at T+8 minutes, the engines went out and telemetry was lost. The ship had exploded, and its debris re-entered near the Turks and Caicos Islands, over 1,500 miles downrange. Some call it a failure, but we here at LabPadre, watching SpaceX's research and development, we're calling it a success. And there you have it, another SpaceX and Starbase Weekly update brought to you by LabPadre. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. LabPadre out.